G'day everyone, welcome back to another Fantasy and SuperCoach review video on the channel. Going to be going over my teams from round 15. End of the buys now, so keen to get stuck into this back half of the season. Hopefully everybody had a good few weeks of the buy rounds, raring to go for the remainder of the year. We'll start off as always with the fantasy. Hopefully you lot went well this week in round 15. I know a lot of popular players did have their buys this week, so yeah, round 15 though, in fantasy, it's looking grim this year. The past few weeks have not been good. We continue to go down the ranks, and now we are officially outside the top 20k. How the mighty have fallen. No, I'm only joking. But yeah, just not been my year in fantasy. I think it's the past 3 years now I've been in the top 5,000. Oh, the last 3 years I've been in the top 5,000, but this year just isn't to be. Inside midfielders have been inconsistent. Haven't nailed the trades. Have made some poor decisions. And, yeah, just isn't looking like my year at all. But our trades this week were actually quite decent. So I brought in Caldwell and 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻, Kane Brown I just brought in because I couldn't afford 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻 with these trades. It was the other one I preferred. It was like about 250k. And, yeah, I just thought, why not? Mid-forward, has good DPP in case we need it. And he made that really good hole in the ball effort when he actually did come on as the sub. So surely he can stay in the 22 after that. But yeah, our trade-ins though, apart from that, were really good. Caldwell and 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻, they both had excellent games. Caldwell was up there for probably one of the best on ground. He had a stack of it, and 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻 had a really good final quarter to get to a 111. We captained Flanders, and we actually both went 111. So that was our VCs and Cs. We had, I think, about 19 or 20 playing this week. Oliver, geez, he counted towards our final score. He's had a massive downfall, this guy. Was, I'd say, the best player in 2022, but he's just so far off it now. It goes to show that how important a pre-season is needed. But through the lines, Nick Martin just being consistent, 93. He was kicking much better today. 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻, as always, has just been very, very good with his output this year. He kicked 2 goals. How about that mark in the final quarter? Yeah, he's been awesome this year, and I'm loving his positional change as a neutral supporter. He's really showing some bright lights, some bright moments, as that now midfielder / forward, instead of just sitting behind the ball and getting, I guess, cheap possessions. He's now showing a lot more impact, and his kicking for goal as well has always been really good. That's what he was very good at in his junior years, and now he's showing it at AFL level. You'll have to see it. Hayden Young, just another 90+ score from him. He's doing the business. Yeah, definitely one of the best on. Today against the Suns. Zach Fisher with an 88. We'll definitely take it. He's meant to be in our forward line, but just got him in defence for this time being. But we'll take that for a forward premium. And Blake Howes. Yeah, this is the issue with our team. We still have Powell, we still have Lohman, we still have Howes. We still have all these guys I've got to get rid of. But he only got a 39. And I don't know if I can get rid of him this week because I've got Powell and Lohman to get rid because they both have break-evens in their 90s, whilst Howes' break-even 69. So might have to cop another 20k loss with him. And good news with 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻. So he returned to VFL, which is fair enough because he was out for a month, and he had 31 touches. So apparently he went well. Should be back in next week, finally. Moving to the midfield now, Errol Gulden. He has been in a rich vein of form in terms of just pure accumulation. I think the last 3 weeks now he's had over 35 touches. He had 42. Yesterday I had the ball in a string. You always got to love watching this guy play because I think what really accelerates and what really makes him a genuine star is just his work rate. He's always there, and I think with the reputation he's starting to build, he just always gets the ball in his hands. Like he'll be 15, 20 metres away in a kick where you question, does he really need to be hit up? But he'll still get the ball. Even like there's patches where Taylor Adams, he's not a great kick. He'll still kick it to Gulden where it's not really, that's like, why would you do that kick? It doesn't really gain much territory, etc. He just gets so much of it, even when he's not in the greatest of positions. Yeah, work rate is fantastic. He's been a good trader in 154. Sarong's been still underwhelming since I've brought him in. I don't think he's yet to turn up for me. No, I brought him in, I think, against I think I brought him in against the D. So 106, 80, 95. He's given me now a 93. So not the greatest, but he was still really good in and under today. He's a better SuperCoach player, must be said. Dawson has bias, and 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻 was great. Brought him in this week. Good last quarter. I kept on fighting on to the end. He had a few goal assists. Yeah, really neat by foot. Still with his buy. And how about this? Finally, for the first time this season, 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻 has gone over 110. It's been 15 long weeks, but he's bloody done it. How good. But he hacked the ball quite a bit, and I think he had like 10 clangers. So probably didn't have the greatest game by foot and by hand, but fantasy, for this sake, it doesn't matter. 8 marks, 6 tackles, and 33 touches. Finally. I thought he'd be up there pushing 105, 110 average this year, but he's averaging 95. So, yeah, that's nice to see a big score from him. I guess, can he keep it up? Kane Horn, I don't even know if I can get rid of him this week. I mean, I could, but I've got Powell and Lohman to get rid of instead. And, look, Oliver's still capable of pushing a 90 or 100, but, geez, that's just disappointing. 26, he had an awful first half. He just looked flustered. He gave away 5 frees in the end. Couldn't win much of his own ball. He's just cooked at the moment. And this is nice, finally. What should have probably been a Whitfield trade in the end. I went Green instead, not the greatest choice. But happy that Green had a really good day out with a 127. Got a heap of it and got a few votes in the Brett Kirk medal in the end. He was good. Max Gawn with a 98. We'll definitely take that from a ruckman of Gawn. Just been a good scorer this year. And English had his bye. Same with Kruger. Forward line, Flanders with a 111. Just such a safe pick this year. Thought I'd put the captaincy on him because, big ground at Optus Stadium, but only a 111 in the end, but still had 33 touches, 7 marks. He was thrown in the midfield in the last quarter and was amazing. He did help charge a slight comeback for the Suns, and he's just such a good ball winner, this guy. He's a great player to watch. Positioned himself so well around stoppages and just finds space really well for marks and etc. Dane Zorko with a 94, happy with that with a forward, and Heaney only an 86, didn't really get much of it. He didn't really have many marks, which you need marks to score well in fantasy, but still had 23 touches, didn't kick a goal too, so could have pushed for a ton, but I felt in the trenches he was still fantastic with his use. But yeah, just an 86 from him. And Caldwell was a great trade in this week with a 126, went big. Yeah, I've loved watching him this year. He's been a massive improvement for the Dons, and I think with Parrish, it's definitely helped him score a bit better. But even when Parrish has been playing, he still has scored quite well this year, Caldwell. And his work rate's really good. He's able to get to contests around the ground really well. Had a lot of tackles too, and kicked the goal in the final quarter to get to a nice 126. And yeah, Powell with just the 59. I'd love to get rid of him, but we still have him in our team. He's not a forward premium. He's got to go this week, I think. Got the Dogs, hard matchup, 97 break even. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's got to go. And same with this guy, Lohman. We kept him for a week too late, but we had to get rid of McRae and Sharp, who were bleeding cash, and we needed Lohman on field at least this week. And he could have maybe pushed to a good score. He was on about 25 points at quarter time, but yeah, got subbed out. That's pretty much it for my team for this round. So we've not been going quite well. I think the last time we went up in ranks was at least 5 weeks ago now. It's just been a downward spiral. So we'll move on to the trades for this week. Back to 2 trades, post-buys, and season's over. Might as well get in some pods. Why not? We'll go with Ed Richards this week, and we'll also bring in Logan Evans, who is really the clearest of rookies. There's also Tholstrup too. 292, 7 break even. I think we'll go with Evans. Yeah, he wasn't bad, Evans. He just gave it a really good crack. He got plenty of it. But yeah, had a few iffy moments. Turned the ball over a little bit too much and had a few hospital hand passes. But if he stays in, we'll probably go with him. So Lohman comes out, Powell comes out because they've got high break evens. And might as well go with Richards. We could go with like a Sinclair and stuff, but I wouldn't mind going with value here and just seeing if Ed Richards could go bang this second half of the season. He's remember, this was probably going to be 100. He was on 66 at halftime, but 141, 97. Let's say this was 100 and this is a 93. Pretty good numbers, and yeah, a good price at 759. Let's go with the pod and see if he could explode in the second half of the season. So that's what it's looking like for fantasy. Let's move across now to the other format. Okay, across now to SuperCoach, and it was a good round 15 in the end. We managed to get ourselves a 2177, and most importantly, we did move up the ranks this week, up 64 spots to 327th overall. So we'll have a look at how we ended up going with the buys since they are now completed. So if we go to history, before the buys, we were sitting 318th overall. And then we went down a little bit, had a bit of a down week in round 12, round 13. Did improve going back up, went down again in round 14. But this week we did move back up. So in the end, the buys weren't too bad. We only went down, 10 or 9 or so spots. So would have loved to go up during the buys, but I think it could have been a lot worse. And speaking of my team this week, I can't really complain too much. If you look at all my plays, pretty much every single one of my players that played this week went quite well. We had 18 primos this week. Would have had 19 if 𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼 played. But yeah, fair enough. He had the run in the twos just because he came back from that foot injury. And 𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼 was the warm body as the 19th, and obviously didn't count to the 18. But yeah, really the only players that scored under 100 for us was Luke Ryan, McGovern, and also 𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿 Miller. So I can't really complain too much this week. Pretty much every single one of my plays scored well, so I'm content with that. We've got 3 trades remaining, so we'll save those trades, I think, just for injuries, really. There's no one really we need to get rid of. But through the lines we'll go. Luke Ryan with a 93 to start things off. He just didn't get really much ball. And I think he got only about a 65 or something in fantasy. So with what 𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿 said in the press conference, in one of his presses this week about, I feel like a few of our defenders are stat padding too much, it was definitely evident watching them today. He just didn't get as many chips as he usually has been so far this year. Like when they had the ball at half back, whether it be Chapman or Clark or whoever it was, usually they just go back to Ryan and they reset down the other side. They don't do as much of that. So yeah, obviously from what Justin Longmuir said, turned out to be true. So is it a concern? Look, I don't think so necessarily too much. He still should be top 6 from this point onward. But geez, if you brought him in last week, you wouldn't be happy. But for us, we got him at in round 2, I think it was, when he was around 6'10". So he's still been great for us this year. 𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐼, impressive, 117, loving his new position as that midfielder forward. As we said in the fantasy segment, kicked the 2 goals. Just such a naturally gifted player, I feel. Always clean user with it as well. Dan Houston with a 102, so happy with that. He didn't really get much ball either, but he was just, again, really good by foot like he was the previous week against the Giants. So over a ton, we're happy with that. To be fair, he has ton in his name, Houston. Yes, I know, I'm hilarious. Jordan Clark with a flat 100 score. I loved his play along the wing where he took like 5 or 6 bounces, then hit up Brayshaw inside 50. He got a lot of points for that, so we'd love to see that from Clark. But could have we gone with Whitfield? It turns out we probably should have. In the end, Whitfield has outscored Clark the 2 weeks, and he was 100k cheaper. So yeah, a lot of those sliding door decisions have not paid off. Same with Green as well. We could have gone Gordon instead. That's cost us 100 points, but to be fair, we had to pay up, I think, an extra 40k. But we'll take that. We'll take that from Clark. And look, last week's performance against the Bulldogs was hard for him because they didn't get much ball. But if he can just continue to go at least 95, 100 plus for the remainder of the year, I'm happy. McGovern with a 99, was really good by foot. He's similar to Luke Ryan, really. He's a lovely kick of the pills. So, and he goes long to contest too, so he gets a lot of points for that. And had a few intercept marks. It's sort of a bit of OCD though. 1 point off a ton. Come on, champion data. Just give him that extra point, why don't you? Bontempelli had his bye, and Merritt's turned out to be a very good VC option. In fact, pretty much our best one. Green was our highest scorer this week, but come on, we weren't going to be VCing Green this week with his past form. But as I have said this year, Tom Green goes really well against us, us being the Swans. So it's good to see him bounce back. And then, we brought in Sarong this week. So, our trades were we brought in Sarong, we brought in Caldwell, and we brought in Kinnan Brown just as a cheap mid-forward so we could swap with a midfielder just in case we want to. Like, if we want to move Dowling to the midfield, I don't know. Just a handy DPP player. And then, Dawson was the captain. Sarong was great. Really good in and under. I always speak so highly of this guy with his inside midfield craft. He's just so quick with his hands, and he's great to watch. And I'm happy he's finally in my SuperCoach team. And, it turned out to be a good pickup under 600k. He did go down at roughly 10k or so, but 121 break even, and then he goes down a little bit lower. But he's got the Swans again, and usually plays well against us. He went 150 against us last time. Zach Butters with a 123. I'll tell you what, he's probably the MVP for my team this week. He was on about 70 points, and he unfortunately hurt his shoulder. He's had issues with his shoulder, obviously, in the past, and he didn't look good. He was grimacing in pain, and he was in the aid of trainers, and I'm like, oh dear, he could maybe be done for the day. But he comes back out and gives us a lovely 123. So kudos to him. He battled on really well. He might be injury prone, but he's still a bloody tough player. So good to see him bounce back after that shoulder problem in the third quarter, I think it was. But geez, it was a rough afternoon for Port Adelaide. That was one of their worst games of quite some time. Dawson was the captain, so we could take Merritt's score. Sam Walsh with a 110. Again, hacked the ball a little bit, but he's just a pure ball magnet, this guy. So, yeah, it's great to see him rack up the pill once again, and we'll definitely take a 110 from him against the Cats. And, yeah, 𝐓𝐿𝐴 Miller is probably my negative this week. He, as I said in the fantasy segment, got a massive fantasy score for the first time this year, but he had 10 clangers, and he got a 95. Just, it was not the greatest to watch him just cough up the ball every single time. He had a terrible run of clangers. He had like 5 in a row at one point, just kicking to direct opposition, hand passing under pressure to direct opposition. But to be fair, Matt Rowell-Anderson also had fairly quiet games too, so Miller outscored them both, and I guess it's important to compare your premiums to others. So a lot would probably have Rowell in this position. I've got Miller, so he outscored Rowell, for example. So I guess that's a positive. But yeah, it is a shame though. Miller did leave himself out on a big score. If he was just neater by foot, he probably could have gotten 140, 130. So lost out some points there. But as I say again, every player did score well this week for me. And that's great. Tom Green, finally, we get a good score from him after bringing him in post his bye. He was on 60 at halftime against the Hawks. He ended up on 79. He got 30 touches last week and only ended up on like an 80-odd score. So finally, he goes big. And as I said before, he just plays really well against the Swannies in the Sydney Derbies. Yeah, his ground level stuff was great. Was just attacking contests really well. And yeah, got like a 130 odd in fantasy too. So yeah, great to see him bounce back with a huge score. And let's hope we can see more of that. We've got to stick fat with him, as I've been saying the past 2 weeks since I've brought him in. The rucks were good. Gawn 114 and Grundy 124. I was considering the VC on Grundy, but I felt, well, Briggs was very good last week, so maybe he can somewhat limit him. But I mean, Grundy still really, let's be honest, dominated Briggs in the end. But turned out that the Merritt was the better VC, so we'll take that. Forward line, Flanders has yet to go under 100 this year. So consistent. A 117. We love that. Heaney, as I said in the fantasy segment, was really good in the coalface, and his contested game was really clean. And I think how he got a lot of his points was just his ground level stuff. Like a lot of players were fumbling, and he just come in with pace, pick the ball up with just absolute cleanliness. Yeah, really good to watch yesterday, and 𝐓𝐿𝐴 tongued up, so happy with that as always with the magician, as people like to call him. Rankin had his bye, but I'm pretty keen on Rankin for the back half of the year now. A lot of people probably have like Curnow and Simpkin maybe and a few other forwards, but Rankin is now probably out of reach for a lot of coaches, or maybe some other players wouldn't want to pay up for a player like Rankin. So yeah, I feel like maybe his ownership could be protected for the back half of the season. So I'm hoping for some big scores from him. And he was somewhat managed against the Swans last time out, and he got a 96. I'm hoping for a big, post-bye run from him. Zach Fisher with a 108. Did the polar opposites because against the Pies, he had that terrible kick in and he missed the shot at goal. So because of that, he could have honestly gotten 100 against the Pies, but he got a 70. But yeah, much better in the final quarter. He's needed by foots, and did get to a 108. So happy with that. And Caldwell was a good trade in this week, but he had about 5 free kicks against, and he had a number of clangers too. So his score could have been much higher, but him kicking that goal late did help him get to a 115. So that is the scores from this week, 21.77. But I feel like my team's in a good position now to attack the post-buys, because we've got 23 primos. Remember, 𝐼𝐿𝐴 should be coming back this week. I saw he got 31 touches in the VFL. North fans are saying, yep, bring him in. So I'm keen to see how he goes. Might use him as a loop this week. It's a shame, though, because Clark has the Swans, and he probably does get James Jordan, but Clark and 𝐼𝐿𝐴 both play at the same time, so I can't use him as a loop. And also, Hall plays the first game, so I don't know, I might as well put the 𝐸 on 𝐼𝐿𝐴, and if he goes like 140, maybe I take out. I mean, that's the problem, though. I can't use Hall as a loop. I might have to use him as a loop in the midfield this week, because Hall has the early game. Maybe I could trade out Hall to, I don't know, maybe to be, Can't really move Dawson there, to be fair, because 𝐼𝐿𝐴 and Dawson both play for the same team. I don't know. We'll just the main thing with 𝐼𝐿𝐴 is he's just cover. If someone gets injured, we can cover him. And plus, the other thing is too, if he isn't scoring as well as what I'd like, he's at least going to gain money because his break-even's -6. So he could probably get to maybe 450k over the next few weeks if he goes 90 plus. And we could reassess then and, I don't know, maybe go to a Rosie if he's in a rich vein of form. We've got, again, 3 trades left, so we'd like to use them on injury trades. We'll see, though, but we're sitting in a good spot, just outside the top 300. I guess in the end, the buys weren't bad. We only, in the end, only went down, I think, around 9 spots. Have a quick look at the leagues before we end up the video. We are sitting, we're back on top in our own league. We'd love to see it. We'll move our camera across and let's have a look. So, sitting in first, fun picks only. He continues to push up, 618th overall. Very nice. Captain Merritt was really the best choice this week. How about that? I think a lot of people roughied 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿 and he was awesome. 139 contested game was solid from him. Sinclair had the bye. Looking at the fourth line, Jackson had a down game. That's the thing with Luke Jackson. You're gonna have to ride the bumps with him because he can have some poor games. Forwards, Macca was quiet for him. Powell was also quiet. Probably needs to get rid of him. Josh Sin still has him, and probably will get a clean run of it now, perhaps. Yeah, geez, how about that though? He did have clean over. That is a rough one. And Anderson had a bit of a quiet day too. So hopefully, fun picks only can have a better week heading into round 16. And who was our highest scorer this week? It was Remembered to Wipe in. Yeah, he's sitting just inside the top 5,000, but a massive score from himself. 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼 brought him in this week. That was a good trade in. Grant Mine's a bit of a pod, so he needs to go well for his sake this back half of the season. Gordon Grundy, Merritt captain, good choice. Whitfield could have brought him in. He was about 475, 480k. Probably could have gotten him instead of Clark. He's now outscored in the past 2 weeks. Of course, he has. 𝐿𝐷𝐻𝐷𝐿 is a terrific pod. He's now really going at the moment. 148. He's had, like the previous week against the Pies, he's had massive fourth quarters. That's definitely helped him to get to massive scores. Lockie Neal didn't have an opponent with him basically all Saturday long. He had a day out. And yeah, bloody solid team. Green was awesome too. His midfield looked pretty solid. Have a look at that. Just solid scores left on Saturday. Very nice stuff from Remembered to Wipe. And we'll have a look now at my fantasy leagues. 𝐬𝐿𝐼 still in the top 100, but he's dropped down a little bit. What was he, round 15? Round 14, sorry. 73rd. So he's dropped down a little bit. So I got a 1931. I'll move across, sorry, so you can see the team. Geez, I tell you what, Luke Ryan has been a good Andy pod for us the last 2 weeks. He's gone 70 and a 68, ouch. But for owners, they would not be happy. Just not getting as much junk the last 2 weeks. And I thought Clark was quite good, but just didn't get a stack of it. Logan Evans, a good trade in this week. Gordon, massive. Caldwell, massive too. So he had a really good midfield performance. Have a look at that. Merritt captain was good, I guess, in the end. Tom Green was huge for him too. Cherry, been a great player this year for North. Flanders, great. Still in more of the buy. Sexton, a little bit quiet. Does he get dropped perhaps? Because 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼 was pretty good back there. And yeah, he had a lot on buy, to be fair. Sinclair, Dawson, Bont still to come back in. So hopefully Emmett can maintain a spot in the top 100. And that's pretty much it from me, everybody. Let me know how you lot are going down below in the comments. Who are you considering bringing in this week? Or are you going to be doing any trades in SuperCoach, that is? And I'm always happy to answer some questions down below in the comments. Might not be an expert, but always happy to give you my opinions on some potential trades. So hopefully you did enjoy, everybody. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you did go on to enjoy. And yeah, until next time, I'll talk to you later. See you later, fellas.